Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be taking a look at the 2025 Push Along James. This is going to be a brutally honest review. I will try and find positives on James, but you know, with current day Mattel merchandise, that's pretty much impossible. But let's start with James's face and then make our way back to his tender. So taking a look at James's face here, I think this Push Along James has a better face than the motorized James. Now, neither of these faces are anything crazy. The expression is pretty simple, and I rather have simple expressions on faces, as we know. I think the goofy cartoon expressions of, like, random faces engines can make are not very good. An example of that would be the 2021 Thomas Wooden Railway line. Those types of expressions are terrible. So I'm glad that they just gave James a normal smiling face. The printing on this face is actually not terrible. I guess it's just luck if you get an engine with decent printing. So this printing looks pretty neat. If I put my hand up there to block the sun, the printing looks pretty neat. The white stays within the eyes. It doesn't look as bad as I've seen, previously with other 2025 merchandise. So I don't have a problem with the face. Now, am I a fan of CGI Thomas and Friends? No. But for a CGI James, this is not a bad face. That's all I really have to say. It's not a bad face. I'll take it. Especially in 2025, I'll take this face. So I guess that's a positive. Now, another positive, I guess, bare minimum here, painted buffers. So it's kind of the bare minimum. But let's spin James around here. Get a good shot of him from the side. So taking a look at James from the side here, we do have a defect on his boiler. I'm not sure what that is. Not his boiler. Sorry, smoke box. There is a defect. I tried to rub it off. It's basically just a dent in the plastic. So really can't do anything about that. Now, do I have a problem with James's gray wheels and gold side rods? Initially, yeah, I really did. But seeing him in person, I have less of an issue with it. Now, is it really pathetic that they got the side rods and the wheels wrong? Yes. But clearly Mattel was using a very outdated promotional image. I don't know what they were using. I don't know how you come up with gold side rods and gray wheels for James in 2025 after we've had a decade plus of CGI James. So that really makes no sense. This kind of reminds me of the original Bachman James with the gray wheels. The gray wheels, they are ugly. The gold side rods, for some reason, I don't have a major problem with them, but I do really think it's pathetic that we are getting simple colors wrong on engines when we have decade plus of images and CGI James footage. So that's pretty bad. But yeah, gold side rod, not as bad as I thought they would be. Anyways, so looking at James's boiler here and body, this actually looks to be the only metal part of James. Everything else is plastic. So when they say this is die cast, it's really not. This tender is completely plastic. If I pick them up and shake them, you can kind of just hear it. The only metal part is this boiler. So it's kind of false advertising. This has never been a true die cast line, push-alongs. It's just some Trackmaster spinoff that's meant to run on every single type of track. So it's not really a die-cast line. I don't really take it seriously. And so the only metal part is this boiler. Now, how does James's boiler look? Well, if they are going to be giving us extra details on these engines, such as rivets, I do think they should be done better. The rivets aren't as bad on this engine as they are on the motorized. These are a lot more faint. You can't really see them. So I guess I don't really have a problem with the rivets here, simply because you can hardly see them. There's a better angle. Now, I do think that the railing is a bit low, but that's just me. The gold stripes are James's detailing is kind of faint. It's kind of hard to see in certain lighting. For example, it's very bright right now where I'm filming this review, so it's kind of hard to see some of the details. But the body of James, you can tell, is the only metal part because it's the only part that is getting really shiny. That's a good example right there, this shot here. The only shiny part is James's boiler. because everything else is plastic. So kind of cheap and inconsistent from Mattel there. I would have liked to see a complete die-cast engine in 2025, but you know, Mattel nowadays. I mean, I guess so. Here. I don't really know what to say about this James, because my opinion on James is really formed on how dirty they did Push Along Henry. Now, James definitely is, you can say, is a tad too big. So I think this portion of James is pretty awkward. He's got no front cab windows, but there's such a gap in between the top of the cab and this part of James that it looks really awkward. James is just a bit too big, his body in general. CGI James is oversized, which is another mistake from CGI Thomas and Friends, another mistake. So the James body is a bit too big. It's a shame. A lot of it is just plastic. It's not even die-cast. The cab is fully plastic. We do have a railing there. We do have more rivets. James does have a whistle on top. The whistle doesn't look bad. I will say that. For a whistle that small, it's not terrible. But then taking a look at James's cab from the back side, no coloring there. I don't really expect any coloring. I guess it's kind of neat. We just got an open space there, so I'm not really expecting any coloring there. But now we take a look at the tender, and here's where things really go south. So the body of James is oversized. The proportions are not the best. His cab is just a bit too tall if you're going to have nothing here. At least make it a bit more tasteful, evenly spaced. But everything goes downhill when we take a look at the tender, because this tender is directly reused from the All Engines Go James. So it's not brand new. There's nothing new about it. And I'm not really doing it justice, but you can... Okay, so this is a better shot. You can see just how small the tender is compared to James's body. This is a problem with the motorized engines as well. The tenders are just so tiny. And I have Gordon here next to me. You can kind of just see how small the tender is compared to his body. So the James is incredibly tiny, his tender, compared to James's body. Now, it is sloped inward, the tender. If I pick James up here and kind of just show you the tender's proportions are not square. They're sloped inward. It's All Engines Go design. It's goofy. It's All Engines Go. I don't like it. I don't think it's good. We do have painted buffers on the backside, which, I guess is something. It's something we couldn't even get on the base motorized engines. So I will say right off the bat, I prefer the push-along engines over the motorized engines, but that's not really saying much because the motorized engines are horrific and cheap. But we do have buffers on the backside, painted, bare minimum. I would have loved to see a lamp on the backside. That would have been cool. But, other than the buffers, it's a really piss poor All Engines Go James tender. How was the cold load, though? The cold load, I guess, could have been worse. The cold load's fine. I'm not really going to gripe on that. But the tender itself, it's too tiny. It's reused. It's from All Engines Go. This is not classic. It's All Engines Go James, basically, with a CGI face. So, what are my final thoughts on James? Well, he's not as bad as I thought he would be. I guess that's what I have to say. His body is too big, and his tender is too small. I think the face of James is better than the motorized version, but I also think it's luck of the draw if you get good printing on your face, or if you get screwed and the printing looks terrible and it's like worst case scenario, the face is ruined. So I guess I got lucky with this James's face. But yeah, you can kind of just see the issues with James are kind of obvious. James, he may be based off the CGI series, but for a toy line, it's not really well done because, just look at other engines such as Henry. Henry is a lot smaller than James. So something is wrong here. Something's wrong, obviously, and I don't like it. But I'm not as negative on this James as I thought I would be. It is reused Mattel SLOP at the end of the day, but at least the face is better than I thought it would be. At least we got painted buffers, the bare minimum. But Nothing too egregious here. Nothing too outrageous. Just kind of more, I don't know, Mattel slop. I'm glad I'm not as like disgusted by this James as I was by the motorized engines. Now I also I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that it's a push along. I've never liked the push along line. I really don't like the coupling system for push alongs. It's kind of just hear it. It's kind of just janky. I don't know, if you had rolling stock hooked up behind from Trackmaster, it would feel really awkward. You know, it's just diecast is supposed to feel higher quality, but like smaller proportions, and this is just not that, right? You take along fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. There may be smaller proportions, but everything feels heavier. It's more metal. It doesn't feel as cheap, you know? The only metal part of James is this middle boiler part, and that is it. Everything else is plastic. Everything else is plastic. The tender kind of feels the same as the boiler, but the fact that it's not obvious what is plastic and what is not, oh man, I don't know. It's pretty disappointing, but you can see the cab and the smoke box are completely plastic along with the running board and the chassis, the wheels, the side rods. But anyways, this has been my review on the 2025 Push Along James. So I guess I'm not as negative on James as I thought I would be. But I've also kind of gotten to a point with Thomas merchandise that, dude, I'm expecting to be let down. And until Mattel proves me otherwise, I mean, it's the way it's going to be, man. But this James I guess that's what I could say about this James. It could have been worse, but again, that's not saying much. We got a reused tender. Anyways, you get my point. This was my review on the 2025 Push Along James. If you guys have James, let me know what you think about him in the comment section down below. If you don't, let me know, are you going to be buying James? Because we have Henry and James. We also have Thomas and Percy. I do think these are better than the motorized engines. I think that's a fair assessment. Okay, so before I get carried away here, I want to thank you guys for watching. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Are you picking up this James or are you passing? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Before I get out of here, thank you to the members of the channel.